Wow, what a game. The Montreal Canadiens have lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs in a shootout, but that was an entertaining game. What the hell was that? Final score 6-5 Toronto in a game where, honestly, if you map out the charts, you map out the shots on goal, you try to just see who could have won this game. Really could have gone both ways. I feel like, though, just based off of the possession and the chances, that the right team ended up winning. And that sucks for Canadiens fans, but it doesn't suck because this game was fun. Oh my goodness. Now, there were, five, so 10 goals scored. I don't want to go over all of them. I just wanted to talk about some things that stood out to me. The Canucks game is starting in just a few minutes here, so I gotta piece out of this video as quickly as I can. But this game, initially we thought it was a 3-0 Montreal lead. There was an early goal scored by Jake Evans, very good capitalization on the breakaway there. You also had yourselves Alex Newhook scoring a deflected shot assisted by Slafkovsky and Dach in the second period. Shortly after, you had Cole Caufield apparently make it 3-0, but the goal was called back. Boo. Of course, we don't want that to happen. And then the Maple Leafs started to strike back afterwards. You had Gregor, Matthews, and then Nylander giving the Leafs the 3-2 lead. And then the Habs bounced back again. Caufield, Newhook, Ylonen to go up by 2 with a few minutes to go in the third period. But then Toronto did what Toronto does. Sometimes, at least. When you have clutch players that are superstar caliber guys, these guys show up when the regular season games matter the most, and Auston Matthews did just that, scoring himself 2 goals in the final frame to give himself the hat trick and to send the game to overtime. Now, I don't want to go into an entire deep dive as to every dynamic that we saw in this game, but I just wanted to give some thoughts on some of the Habs players that presented themselves. This line of Newhook, Dach, Slafkovsky is money. My goodness, this might have been the best game we have seen out of Juraj Slafkovsky ever, building off of that preseason game against the Ottawa Senators. The guy was just making the right reads, he was opening up space, he was making brilliant passes. We're starting to see Juraj Slafkovsky form that playmaking style of game that we didn't really see too much of last year. We saw him try to make a few nice plays, but he never really got everything to click. In this game, things clicked. And, of course, he ends up with a few points because of it. I mean, no, not a few points, 1 point. He gets the assist on the first Alex Newhook goal. Newhook, though, 2 goals, 1 deflection, 1 tip-in, just staying in the right areas of the ice and being there for the puck to get pushed into the goal. Speaking about Newhook, those 2019 draftees keep on showing off tremendously well, because not only did Newhook score 2 goals in this one, but Cole Caufield scored a goal as well. Really odd shot that goes off the stick of the Toronto defender in front and right by Samsonov, but hey, at the end of the day, he had one taken away from him earlier, so I think we'll take Caufield at 1 goal as long as it looks like this. Also had Nick Suzuki assisting on that. That was great. Dach had multiple assists in this one, assisting on both Newhook goals, and he was one of the guys that I think impressed me the most. Just the way he's able to confidently stride over with the puck, how he's able to isolate and create space, stop up in the offensive zone to let the Maple Leafs guys go around him and just wait for there to be an opening. Dach had such a level of confidence that we hadn't seen too much out of in the past few years, I feel, especially going back over to Chicago. But him, Newhook, Caufield, these 2019 draftees looked so good in this game here, and it carried over into the overtime showcase as well. Never mind the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs came back with 2 Auston Matthews goals. Just great showcases of offensive pressure and a willingness to come back and bite, because the Montreal Canadiens had a 2-goal lead at the end of the halfway mark in the third pretty much. Like 9 minutes to go, Habs were up by 2, but the Canadiens, they weren't able to hold it down. Toronto comes back, they do the empty net early with like 5 minutes to go. Auston Matthews gets a goal, And then, what do you know, just a few minutes later, Auston Matthews gets another goal, a hat trick in the first game of the season. It's not quite hit him with the 4 like Auston Matthews, but it is good enough to send the game to OT, wherein Matthews did have a few extra chances as well, stopped amazingly by Jake Allen. Can we talk a little bit about Allen? Sure, the guy let in a few goals in this one. He let in, well, technically 6. 5 if you wanted to exclude the shootout goal, but Jake Allen was so poised. He made some brilliant saves, especially in the overtime period, stretching out the pads and making sure that those bottom sides are covered. He robbed Matthew Knies in overtime in a spectacular way. And then, of course, that same Matthew Knies got the penalty to give the Canadiens a power play at the end of OT. Montreal went with an interesting strategy here, because you had Doc, Monahan, Caufield, and Suzuki as the 4 skaters on the 4-on-3. So no defensemen out there, just forwards. And you could really see the Canadiens in this overtime period on the power play play a lot more of a tentative style. They didn't want to make a mistake. They wanted to make sure that they had proper shooting lanes and no interference. So they were very cautious and very poised with how they were controlling that offensive zone. It doesn't result in much. There were a few shots Nick Suzuki took on Samsonov that were saved pretty nicely, but at the end of the day, the Canadiens are not able to capitalize on the Matthew Knies penalty at the end of overtime, and the game goes to a shootout instead. Talking about that shootout, though, I mean, what's there to really say? It was a shootout. We know how these things go. Nylander was not able to get one by, nor was Suzuki, Matthews, Caufield, and then it was Mitch Marner who was able to razzle-dazzle the pants off of Allen and go upstairs where Mom keeps the cookies. And then, of course, Kirby Dach at the very end is not able to tie things up and send things to a 4th round, but at the end of the day, it's fine. The Montreal Canadiens played a game where you could really just feel the excitement, and I think Martin St. Louis' expression at the end of the 3rd period kind of says it all, because they panned the camera over to St. Louis, and his team just blew a 2-goal lead with a few minutes to go in the 3rd period, but the guy was smiling, his head was held up high, his hair was slicked back, so very nice look there for Martin St. Louis. You could tell the guy was having fun. And even though his team blew a 2-goal lead, even though they kind of blew their chances at winning the game, there was still entertainment value out of this, and I think a lot of Canadiens fans watching this game wouldn't be too disappointed with how everything went, because just from an entertainment standpoint, that was a fun one. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Cole Caufield getting 2 goals, one of them disallowed, getting the other goal though? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about Slafkovsky, the way that he played, his playmaking in this one? How do you feel about Newhook getting 2 on the board? Doc getting 2 assists on there. We didn't even talk about Ylonen's brilliant backhand goal on Samsonov, dangling the pants out of the goalie. His jockstrap is up in the rafters, baby. Who knew we could have seen that out of Ylonen? That's awesome. If you're a Maple Leafs fan, what are your thoughts about Matthews coming in here and doing the thing, scoring the goals, getting the hat trick, everybody else contributing? Matthew Knies had a role. I feel like Bertuzzi had a pretty decent game. He was everywhere under the opponent's skin. Marner, of course, getting the shootout winner, dazzling everybody's pants off. Nylander had some good looks. What are your thoughts on the Canadiens, guys, and how they played? And what are your thoughts on how these teams are going to go forward from here? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I got to tune into this Vancouver-Edmonton game because Quinn Hughes and Connor McDavid are shaking hands, and the game will be starting soon. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.